Stock YouTuber Meet Kevin sold out of 99.9% of his stocks. He probably has the most subs among the finance YouTube space. For months in 2021, he had been saying inflation would inflect down in September/October 2021, and there would be an end-of-year rally. So he loaded up on call options in August to prepare for it, then adjusted his timeline to Jan-Feb 2022. He sold out of several stocks in November. Then went all in last 2 weeks of December thinking there would be rally in Jan 2022. Just a couple days ago, he was still super bullish, saying stuff would rebound. Made a video slamming Bill Ackman for shorting market in March 2020, and blamed the suits for manipulating the market. He went from that to suddenly selling out at 99.9% of his portfolio and is now shorting the market. He's saying he wants to get back in around March 2022 since he thinks that is when max pain will be. He apparently told his course members in private he sold at least a day before he told his public viewers. I watched his channel off and on but never took stock advice off him, but kept seeing red flags before this, such as how his watch list was filled with speculative stocks. He bought Docu in the midst of its earnings dip around $180, saying it was an overaction. He also bought Coin on day one, so that is a shame he went from preaching buy the dip to panic selling to try to time the market. He got margin called, but hasn't admitted it yet. Now, he's buying QQQ puts and trying to convince everyone to sell. He's been buying the dip on stocks that give you best 30% to borrow against and selling puts. He mentioned he was trying to raise his margin a few days ago. The market continued to sell off and now he's liquidating everything. He's also refinancing his property to buy in March. I watched one of his streams last year during this strange January volatility. Ike, if you still can't name it, of last year, he was doing nothing but looking for confirmation bias in the media and tossing money at all kind of stuff. My assumption was he was milking his viewers and the situation to get more popular. Everyone was a stock genius from March 2020 till about November 2021-ish. I also would like to take this opportunity to say I absolutely hate the surprised, cum-shot face he and a bunch of other YT people started using as clickbait thumbnails. He makes money from people like you, viewers and followers. His YouTube account and other means of income probably make him more money than trading, and that's how it usually works. He can afford to sell and buy whenever he wants if he has large amounts of income coming in. Exactly. First, do people actually believe these guys are telling the whole truth? And second, this is purely for YT money/views. People feel schadenfreude about this, but fail to realize this is probably all calculated and the drama and pain that he is supposedly feeling is probably manufactured/fake/calculated to grow his personal brand. Waste of time to give any time of day to these kinds of people. People don't like to acknowledge it, but luck is an extremely large factor in becoming wealthy, especially if you're doing it well before retirement. Plenty of famous multimillionaires like to pretend they just work so much harder, or are so much more responsible with their money, or whatever other thing strokes their ego, but it's total shit. Anyone who's new to stocks, don't listen to any of these guys. They push their own stocks and act like they know what the market's gonna do. And if they are right, act like a god, and if they are wrong, it's THEMRKTS on PR at IKTABLE. So you're saying he has a history of being wrong and now he's trying to time the market thinking it will continue crashing. Truth is, no one knows how long or hard markets will correct. Just know it becomes rarer and rarer to have consecutive red days. It would be more likely to have some sort of rebound this coming week and his puts losing value. True. The lower the stock goes, the less sellers there are unless there is an extreme rush to liquidity, like an event like the beginning of COVID. Even if people try to time the market due to panic and emotion, inflation is going to eat away at cash. I thought it was going back to $20 soon. Honestly, I also have holdings in GME and 3 holdings in the digital stuff that shall not be named, thanks mods: P. But the moment you touch any of those you get labeled as a cultist, conspiracy theorist, shill yada yada. I don't care. If I think it has future value, I'm investing in it. This isn't bloody sports teams, but people act like it to be. GameStop is all over the place, but one thing's for sure. Whatever its story is going to be, it isn't there yet. Good or bad, I want to see how it ends and I'll stick around for it. Maybe the only holding I have that has been affected by emotion, because it's too damn entertaining to let go. He's made some terrible picks lately. Said 2022 is going to be year of advertising. loaded up on a firm big time. He got used to things dipping for a month and then coming back even more, March and September 2021. This time it clearly wasn't going to happen, and his unbalanced portfolio got hammered. Feels sorry for people who followed him blindly, took his advice, and are now out their hard-earned dollar. He has enough money to be wrong. Most of his viewers don't. Another reason why I strongly believe most investors should be 85% index fundettes or mutual funds and maybe 15% stocks or less as a fund portion of the portfolio. I feel like he gives pretty good general advice on the stock markets whenever he goes into his tiny lectures during his live streams, etc. But then he sounds shady whenever he talks about specific stocks he's buying and / or advertising his courses. Yet apparently Chris Sain stopped showing his portfolio and admitted in Deck 2021 he was down about 38% for the year of 2021. Financial Education's portfolio is being held up by TSLA. If not for those gains, he'd be down 10% on his principal right now. I don't watch either of their channels, and just got this info off another YouTuber who has been doing follow-ups on stock YouTubers showing they are losing money on their stocks. I kinda expected it since my thoughts were that is the whole reason they sell courses. If they did well on stocks, they wouldn't need to sell a course or private stock group. He's insanely rich, yeah, but he gets by far most of his money from ad revenue and selling courses, not from actual investing skills. He just milked his daily videos to get a huge following of new retail traders during the 2020 bull run. He's more of an advertiser than a finance person. It's a classic case of someone being fooled by randomness. He had success with Tesla, etc., and believed it was skill. He did hard work, reading prospectuses, looking at earnings reports, and assumed there was a causal link between that and his gains. This led to him thinking he had the ability to teach others and interpret complex macroeconomic issues for others. Whether this decision is right or wrong, it's clear that he doesn't know what he's doing here. If this decision turns out to be a good one, it is one decision that worked well among many other decisions that went poorly. It won't be his ability that has led to profit here. If you're bearish on the market, why wouldn't you just hedge with puts or do something like people who understand investing would normally do? Selling everything you own because you're worried about a crash is something your uncle tells you he did over Christmas. I don't understand his motivations. He's worth like 40 mil, and he's still on there every day shilling his course and sponsors and whatever. He's got a family, and he spends all day making these videos when instead he could be chilling on a beach with his wife and kid. Don't forget, he bought TON at $120 per share in April 2021 with his long hypothesis being that the company would 2-3x in the next 5 years. The amount of highly overvalued companies he's bought in the past year should be criticized. TON, SQ, Daku, PRPL, LMND, Snap, NEO, RDFN, PINS, Club, etc., etc. He makes money from his courses and you too. His investments other than TSLA and Fawn are filled with losers. He has strong confirmation bias for what he does because he rode on the tail of TSLA's huge price increase over the recent years. Other than that, he's an entertainer on YouTube and one of those pseudo-gurus. Fake it until you make it, I guess. I'll admit he's making way more money than me and he positioned himself well enough to capitalize on the initial windfall of wealth, but he's still not the financial genius that he seems to suggest. But I don't know. People are still buying his courses, so isn't his plan working? Personally, I'd probably never take stock advice from an adult who wears a fedora and has a large stuffed Pikachu in the background of his videos.